Welcome back. You're watching Today. Now, brands and digital marketers have been able to track consumers' online habits and preferences using so-called cookies. Now, this would then be used to tailor ads that target specific users as they browse the internet. But there seems to be a move towards a cookieless internet browsing. And what exactly will this mean for marketers? Well, let's find out from Daniel Levy, who is the co-founder and co-CEO of Flow. Daniel, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Maybe before we get started on the changing landscapes of cookies and cookie policies, maybe give us a brief sense of what exactly they are. I did mention it in my intro, but how exactly they curate content that we then consume on our internet and devices.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So I think fundamentally the easiest way that your viewers would understand a cookie is if you had to go to Takealot by way of example, and you clicked on an item, a toaster, and the next thing toasters were following you around the internet in the event that you didn't, consummate the deal. That is all sessions and cookies, as it's referred to. If you look at that on a greater level, Google, which is kind of the orchestrator of all of this, has enabled cookies to track people and people's behavior when you search. And they've opened that up to the various different domains that you may be going to, i.e. different sets of websites. And that's creating a profile of you specifically. And that's underpinned basically their whole advertising game over the last 3 decades. And that is essentially going. When we speak of cookies, however, it's third-party cookies specifically that's going, as opposed to first-party cookies. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a gist.
No, it does. And of course, whenever you open up a website on the internet, Daniel, there will always be a question around accepting cookies or looking at some of the restrictions. I mean, are there any flaws to this particular kind of tracking and getting a sense of what consumers are looking out for on the internet that we would now start to see some kind of a shift start to form?
Yeah, good question. So I think if anyone's been following kind of what's been going on in the Senate in America and equally in Europe, a lot of the governments have come down very hard on the likes of Facebook, Meta, and Google, primarily for privacy laws. Equally in South Africa, we've got our own laws. Long story short, is the world is now moving into a more privacy-focused environment, and as a result, companies the onus is rather on them to ensure that the data that they collect is actually opt-in. Equally, if you look at your mobile devices, most people don't want their information shared, provided that it's done in a first-party format. So on the generalized, aggregated third-party basis, that is what's coming to an end. And as I say, the trend is for people to want to ensure that their data is protected in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, and of course that's going to have major implications, Daniel, on those that have benefited quite significantly over the years that you've mentioned previously. Talk us through those implications.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, there are fortunate companies over there actually do garner first-party data. First-party data is essentially the business procuring first-party information of you, the consumer. So again, in the Takealot example, if I buy something, they know who I am, what I consume, what my behaviors are when I click around the website. That's a very strong marketing impetus, certainly for them to utilize in terms of growing their business. So that's something very strong, and that's where companies now need to tighten up the reins in the first instance. And secondly, from a third-party point of view, as I say, the cookies are going in that respect, but where these businesses are essentially going to benefit relative to others are those that haven't curated first-party data over an extended period of time. And therefore, where those companies have been benefiting of the third-party cookie perspective, and that's no longer going to be there, they're essentially starting at the beginning of the race. The first-party data component is essentially where, what we refer to as retargeting. So again, in that example of a toaster, the fact that I've made an action on Takealot, they know that I've done that. There may be other products that Takealot wants to actually show me that could be relevant to augment why it is I bought a toaster or something else that they want to do within their ecosystem. So that becomes a very, very powerful thing within their user journey, and those businesses are going to benefit significantly.
They will benefit significantly indeed, Daniel, but I'm wondering, as you give your response there, what that also means for the tracking protection component of this entire discussion as well.
Yeah, so the tracking components over there, again, it's just meaning that these businesses, so you speak of, these are quite complicated, complex overlaying layers over here, but essentially, first-party data, as I said, is curation of the information that the business gets. Then you've got second-party data, which could be the collaboration of two businesses sharing information amongst themselves and then using it to their collective benefit, provided that there's been opt-in from their consumer. And in those instances, companies are going to have to get smarter as to the information that they have and how it is that they go about using it. But the days of Google enabling the third-party component, which they've been kicking the can down the road, but invariably by the middle of this year, they're saying they're going to disband, and that's the end of the story. And those businesses are going to have to find new ways to redeploy their marketing budgets in order to, be it garner an advantage from a brand building point of view, or are they looking for real ROI when it comes to performance marketing, etc. They're going to have to reconfigure how it is that they do business.
Thank you very much for those insights. So that is the co-founder and co-CEO of Flow, Daniel Levy, joining us this afternoon to speak about those changing cookie policies and really just what's been implemented there and how it's set to impact all the parties involved.